Hello and welcome to Uncovered, the podcast with your host, Jason Irving. Join me in a journey to understand what's truly happening in your world and the world around you. This is not about how you're living life on the surface. It's about what's truly driving you from under the covers. I'm going to take you on a journey to deeply uncover the reason why you are here, the ultimate purpose in your problems and the way that they have shaped your life up until now. See, I believe you have a purpose, and your problems are the highway towards ultimate realization of that journey towards freedom and the reconnection of your true self. I've been told I have a different spin on most things, and I'll be giving you my understanding of life, love, and what we're all here for, purpose. To get the best out of this podcast, drop what you already know so you can discover what's beyond you. So join me, let's play this game of life and bring on liberation, transformation, and change. Let's do this.
Hey Jason, how are you today?
Yeah, not too bad. Philia, how are you?
I'm good.
Welcome to Uncovered, everyone. Looking forward to sharing sorrow today. Sorrow is the enlightenment bringer. So that's its job. So I'm really excited to share this with you and give you a little bit of an understanding around what true sorrow is about.
Well, first of all, let's have a look how does the world normally look at sorrow?
So sorrow, everyone wants to run away from.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to get away from that feeling because it's in some ways it's very similar to sadness. It's deeper though.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really deep feeling that we have, and a lot of people who have sorrow sitting in their pocket, they feel like they can never ever be happy. They have a feeling that no matter what, there's always something holding them to ransom.
Yeah.
And so society doesn't like any form of sadness. It wants to eradicate it. So these are people who potentially could be out on antidepressants, antipsychotics even, psychological disorders that come from this. These are the potentially the doomsdayers that will look at society and say the world is at an end.
Mm-hmm.
And they're feeling really sorrowful for the environment. The environmentalists have a lot of sorrow, so people have a really strong cause for something that is beyond them.
Mm-hmm.
They have an amazing want to have this planet in a really different way, and sorrow is actually what's driving them towards their causes.
Wow, that's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, so people who are really focused on not wanting the key trees being cut down and those sorts of things, I look in their eyes and I see a lot of sorrow in their heart and a lot of sorrow in their world.
Okay. And what do people normally do when sorrow comes up? I mean, you already said they might have a very strong cause and become like an activist of some sort, or they run away, or is there any other things that...
Addictions is really, really common. So being addicted to food, being addicted to things that potentially might be chasing joy. So they can cover away their sorrow, doing too much. Mm-hmm. So people who are real overdoers who can't sit still. So you just had a little bit of a smile there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's me.
So people who have that incapacity to sit still, the reason why is because there's this deep, overwhelming wave, and they feel like they're going to get drowned. So Anya at the moment is working through sorrow at the moment. And it doesn't have words to it. It's unexplainable. Mm-hmm. And this is the problem with sorrow. It's unexplainable on some level. But I want you to think about something, Philia. You have experienced me do this with you when I've hit your absolute core of who you are. And these tears come out, these sorrowful tears come out, but there's also a sense of peace that comes with the sorrow when you're fully comprehending and understanding something so deep within your veins that it all starts to make sense. Something just starts to make sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So when you understand sorrow in its most elegant fashion, it's about really aligning to your deepest purpose of who you are. So everyone has experienced that moment where someone has comprehended them about what they're here for. I did this with someone just last week. Her deep inner purpose was nurture. That is her purpose. And she started to cry. Tears were falling down her cheek simply because she fully understood the reason why she was here.
Mm-hmm.
And sorrow came.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, there was this like feeling of absolute exhilaration that came after it. And this is what we're going to be talking about next, is euphoria. And that what comes after sorrow and what's hiding behind it is this absolute euphoric feeling of your truth and who you are.
Wow. That's a really different kind of way. So is that like how you look at sorrow, that it like is at your core and it's part of your purpose? Like,
yeah, and look, I was talking to a guy, Josh, last week, who was talking about sadness, and I was going deeper with him. He was saying, and he said, I've just got this overwhelming sadness. It never goes away for him. And I explained God's reason for sorrow. So sorrow is in the darkness, and I believe God is in the darkness. It's not in the light. Light is what we experience after we've understood God from an experience perspective, and then we gain the light. And then there was light, in the Bible, and then there was light on the third day. But before that, there was darkness. And so in the sorrow is darkness, and the darkness is sorrow. And so when you understand that completely from our perspective, is that what we haven't finished, what we haven't solved, what we haven't understood and comprehended is all in the unknowable, the darkness, and what we haven't achieved yet. And sorrow is the absolute handshaker to help you find that. So shame's another part that really builds this puzzle piece as well. So when you understand the true mechanics of sorrow and what it's for, it's here to build a bridge to light.
okay.
And so what I mean by that is that once you start knowing something through the darkness of sorrow and its nature, you find God and light appears in your heart. And this is what I've noticed with a lot of people. When once I help them with something that they don't know, lights appear in their eyes. Sorrow's there and gratification appears. The trouble is people just don't know what to do with sorrow because it's such a word that everyone wants to run away from and hide from, and I chase it. So anytime I'm looking for something that I need to know, I never look in the light. And the reason why is because the light's knowable. It's what exists in this world. It's what we all know. And this is fantastic for people who want to find something that is already on the planet. If I want to find something that I have no idea about myself or no idea about somebody else, I want to go into an unknown area to find it. It's in the blackness, it's in the sorrow, and then we light it up, we find out what it's about, and then we express it. You know, when you have those epiphany moments when something came out of nowhere and then you're like, oh my God, now I know. We get this great joy from knowing something and finding a new way of experiencing it. So sorrow is, it's been tainted badly. It's actually, from the work that we do in the academy, sorrow is basically connected to enlightenment and loss. So when you have loss, you're closer to enlightenment than gain. So what I mean by that is you have to let go of what you know. You have to let go of attachments. You have to let go of being right. You have to let go of everything that you think is real. And when you do that, you'll start finding more of you and you start to expand, because spirituality and development's like a paradox. So the more sorrow you reach, the more joy you become, the more happiness you have, and it becomes a constant growth tool. If we can chase the darkness and bring more into the light. So I teach this with you guys in the academy. I'm not going to explain the mechanics of it. That there's an area with the work that we do with a particular shape, and you can see the shape just at an angle in the video here. It's an octahedron, and we talk about the bottom part of that octahedron where all the darkness is. The job is to fill that up. sorrow's that area, that blackness, along with another couple of emotions. So when we spend time filling that up with our understanding, then sorrow becomes the ally towards you experiencing your best and most expansive you on this planet. And the more sorrow we reach and meet, we get this experience of attainment of connection. We respond more than we react. We understand what's going on for people. We see the problems in the world. What we also have through sorrow is the solutions to get us there. And it's a very deep, anyone who has a deep sorrow in its best way, you want to learn from them. You want to find out, because they will find something that a person who is connected to light and joy will not be able to find. They'll find your problems and they'll also show you how to solve them.
Sounds like you.
Well, maybe. I work with this a lot. I'm always searching for something different, and I'm always looking for something that is going to be available within the darkness. Because one thing, our bodies, science shows that there's more space than there is substance in our bodies. So it doesn't look like that though, does it?
No.
So a cell has more blackness than it has light. That's the truth. We found that. So in essence, what we're being taught and told through science is the blackness is where it's at, not the light. And we have to start creating more understanding around what we don't know, so we can start filling up more understanding and bring light to things. And it's in the sorrow that is going to help us find that. And it doesn't mean that you're sad.
Yeah.
Like, people don't get it. So when I see people achieve something and they have had a breakthrough, the first thing I do is I get really emotionally sad, but it's not sad, it's relief. So tears can go down my cheek and I'm just like, there's a lot of emotion coming through my body simply because I can see that someone has found themselves. And what that does for me is it helps me find a little bit more of myself in the blackness.
That's very beautiful.
So it's different.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you recommend to people who feel a lot of sorrow, and it can be quite, as you said in the beginning, can be quite overwhelming and quite feel like a tidal wave or something. In a situation like that, it's sometimes difficult to remember what to do. So is there anything that you'd recommend to people?
Look, when people are in deep sorrow, I really believe that we need to reach out. I think it's something that we need other people to find. The tricky thing is, how do you get help? If someone tells you go and do some yoga, that'll help, but is it going to help you find what's going on? No. So you need to find the right help with someone who can really accept where you're at and not try to change you, trying to find out what's really going on under the covers, which is what our podcast name is, and find something new. So reaching out is essential for sorrow. If you want to do it on your own, you'll only end up at the end of your own horizon sometimes. So we have to actually look and get the support sometimes with this particular emotion. And I think it's really important that we look upon people who have maybe a little bit more development in their nature, people who have an ability to see things that are a little bit different, and try and when we're looking for these type of people, guys, we have to look and see, well, what's their background? We need a background check. You don't just go, okay, they must know some stuff because they've got some really good words together. Okay, I've made that big mistake before. So you've got to look and see, well, what's the background check? And look, I truly believe culturally it's really important that we understand how to get information from people who are living the same sort of resource-based life. So let's say we go and spend time with a Rinpoche from India, and a Rinpoche is sort of a guru. Well, they're from India. They come here and they give us great information, but they're not living our rent. They're not paying our bills. They're not doing any of the things that we naturally do. So we have to look and see, well, what do we need to know? And then what sort of influence is that person going to give to us based on, are they living some experiences like us? You go and see a shaman in the Amazon, great, that's an experience, but they're in the Amazon, and where are they in the Western world? They're not. So we have to look at experiences and know, well, how can we go into the world? I was chatting to someone just recently. They had an amazing experience, and now they're having a massive meltdown because they went on a retreat, and now they're in sorrow and an absolute mess because they've broken themselves. So I really believe we need to be in society, work with the stuff that we're in, and get help from the people who are living a similar sort of life or nature to us. Because otherwise the information is not going to come, it's not attainable, right? And we need to all learn that, how to do that very, very well.
That's really good advice, I think, and it's kind of like counterintuitive. I think like when you're in sorrow, you usually just want to isolate. At least that's my experience with it. So it's good to try to reach out. Yeah,
and that's hard. So if you know people who are in sorrow or they're struggling, sorrow can be a breeding ground for suicide. Reach out to them. I think it's really, really important that we know that that's not an alone process. Community is meant to build this up, and I know that there's a lot of people that have met me who have told me they're breathing oxygen simply because we've met, because I have that ability to understand sort of where their darkness is and the problems, and I don't judge the emotions that people are in. And quite often when someone's been in the system, in quotes, and they haven't gotten anywhere with it, people have come to find me, and otherwise they'd be 6 foot under. So it's really important that we don't isolate, we learn to reach out. And if you're in that place where you're feeling that sorrow, make sure that you have a certain things that you can do to help yourself move into support and help around what's going on for you.
Beautiful. Well, I think that's all my questions for today. Do you have anything else to add for everyone?
No, thanks guys for listening to today. Now, if you want to see us, the website is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademypodcast.com, and if you would like to review and share this, I'd really appreciate it, especially someone who might need this right now. Your sorrow is the glory towards freedom if you don't look at it as wrong. So please, guys, I'm going to be giving you information around emotions that I really hope you get some value out and have a different spin in your head around these things. So keep listening and keep staying in tune to this information. There's going to be a book coming out soon. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you too. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jace.